everybody. Welcome to the very first life coaching Q&A. I kind of debated whether or not to do this or not because life coaching is about actually talking to somebody and finding out what's going on inside of them and having a back and forth. But I figured I would do this and do this a little different because every life coach is different. Let me tell you first of all what life coaching is not. Okay, life coaching it's not psychiatry, and it's not advice, and it's not counseling. The way I look at it, and every life coach has a different approach. So each life coach has to find their niche and where they function best, and your own personal philosophy. So my philosophy is this: psychiatry heals the past, advice corrects the present, life coaching creates the future. So my goal with you, as someone who has been through a lot, many of you have followed my battle with cancer down through the years. It's been an up and down journey, and I've chronicled it step by step so you can see everything that happened all along the way. Many of you relate to that. And I've had lots of ups and downs, and I've stood in front of 70,000 people and performed, and I've stood in front of 7 people and performed. Actually, last week. But life has lots of different turns. And I always look at it like this: nobody is a better expert on your life than you. Lots of people can give you advice. Lots of people want to help you with advice. But nobody lives in your shoes. Nobody lives where you live, with the emotions that you live with the baggage that you live with. So in order for you to move forward, you have to set some sort of a goal. Typically, with life coaches, the usual thing that everybody wants to do is, okay, how do I lose weight, and and how do I make more money? Well, life coaching is part of that, but it's so much more than that. It's having a simple goal and how to get to that goal. And the way I do is I break it down into simple, 3 simple steps. The first step, which would be the first session that I would have with somebody, would be identifying what your goal is, your personal goal. Because sometimes, you think you know what you want, but you might not really want what you think you know you want. And then the next step was, what are the hindrances that has held you back from getting those goals? And we call those blocks. This is the block that I have. And then the third session would be developing a strategy to achieve that goal. So I've gotten some questions from some folks, and what I'm going to do is every Tuesday night. See, I'm already thinking ahead. Every Tuesday night, I'm going to approach 3 different questions, and from as different backgrounds and as different issues as is possible. Now, it's very difficult to life coach a question because you need the person, because you have to ask questions on why they feel this way, how they got there. So on some of these questions, I'm going to have to assume where this person's coming from, or help maybe even make something up so that, developing a goal will make more sense. But these are your questions. These are the questions that you sent me, right? And some of them are involved, and some of them are hard to answer. Some of them are not so hard to answer. But I think that we're going to make a lot of progress. And I've been through a lot, and I have a lot to share. And so let's go into the first question, okay? This is from you. And what I'm going to ask everybody to do is real simple. You got some friends out there that are going through some stuff. Tell them to like the page, so that every Tuesday night I might be talking about something that they are going through, and be able to help them out. Okay. So let me deal with the first question. We'll deal with 3 questions, and let's see how it goes. All right. Drum roll. All right. From a guy named Tim. Tim says, I'm about to turn 50 and really need to get out of the rut that I have been in for seemingly my entire life. I would love for the second half of my adult life to be better than the first. Hey, wouldn't we all? I want to pursue my career goals and eventually buy a house, or better yet, build one. So just from looking at this, I can tell he would rather build a house. Tim has a personal idea of what he really wants for himself. The only way I can get that out of him is by talking to him. That's where, we'd have a session and I get on the phone with him and we'd actually go through it. But let's just look at this, because this represents a lot of people in general, especially men. Just let me say this from the outset. Because medicine has advanced so much, guys are living a lot longer than they ever thought they would. It was like that old saying, man, had I would have known that I would have lived this long, I would have taken better care of myself. And that's true, because a lot of times you run your you run your gamut of the things that you can do and be new at in the earlier part of your life, and by the time you're 40s and 50s, people know what you've done. I know this as an artist. You put everything out there, and then after a while they're like, okay, all right, so who's next? And that's hard. It's hard to get to that point, but we're living longer. So men are confronted with something where, they're the providers, and they have to also make a living, but men are healthier than they were 40 years ago. At the age of 50, they're running marathons, they're going to the gym, they're going to lift weights, they're eating better. And even if you get like a heart attack, you don't have to have open heart surgery. They could put a little stent in there. Medicine keeps you alive longer. Well, that's all good, but now you realize, oh no, I'm 50. I got another 30 years. What am I gonna do? So you get to that point where you want to move on. Now, with a guy like Tim, I would probably ask him a couple questions that would be like this, okay? I'd say, what do you feel is your greatest skill set? What do you think you're really good at? Because as I'm talking to him and I'm finding out what he feels he's good at, what he's skilled at, I could also find out kind of the things he might want to pursue. Because at this age, you only want to go after things that you have a natural ability for. So I'd want to find out from him, what do you feel like you're good at? And what we'd do is I'd have him, write down, and I'd do that with him, maybe like 5 things that he does really well, that he does best. And then take a look at those things and see which one would he like to focus the most time on. Which one does he find the most interest in? Which one would keep him busy the longest? When you feel like you're in a rut, that means like you've been doing something that you might not really enjoy doing, and you've been doing it so often that it doesn't require anything from you. It doesn't require any brain power. It doesn't require any creativity, and you're just doing it because it's there to do. So I would venture to say, I'm going to take a guess now. I'm venturing to say that Tim has done a lot of things probably because he was wanting to take care of his family, and maybe he was doing some jobs that he really didn't have a heart to do, but he did it because he was trying to take care of his kids, or whoever else he was responsible for. So that's very interesting that he would want to pursue something now. 50 is a great time to do something new, and we all have to do it. We all have to reinvent ourselves. We all have to find out what's new for the next step. So a life coach, what I would do is I would want to help Tim find a goal. What's the goal for you? Is the goal to find out what that specific skill set is, and then start to focus business ideas around that goal? For example, let's say after all said and done, the thing he really likes, the thing that he really has a drive for, is mechanics. And maybe he's been working in a factory, but he always has this thing about mechanics. Well, he might be, a really good mechanic, and maybe something he does really instinctively well, but's never pursued it because the job was never there. And he had a better job making more money doing this over here that he didn't like, and he's been doing it over and over again. Now he feels like he's in a rut. So sometimes you have to find out what's really in your heart to do. So I would work with him in that. Now I think Tim, because he made a comment here about I eventually want to buy a house or build one. So he's an individual. He wants something that doesn't look like anything else. He wants something that is a reflection of him. So there's a creative side to this guy. I would venture to say that maybe he has something involved, that he does something that's creative. Mechanics, they build cars, they build motorcycles, they build something, they stand back and they could look at it. That's kind of what happens when you build a house. You build it, you stand back, you look at it, you say, look what I did. So that's what I would do. I would love to talk to him. I'd love to have him be part of one of our sessions. We are live. If you want to go and be a part of our session, you can click on the link that's below and go to the carmanlifecoaching.com website. It's all up. It's been taking forever to do. Let's see, maybe I can get a hold of Tim out there somewhere. Let's look at another one. Okay. Interesting. Let's see. I think this is Stephen. His name is not on here. It says, I'm often very hesitant, and even in writing this question, I fear if it's not the exact question I should be asking. Anyway, I fear that I might waste my time in some way by pursuing a passion or a dream that might not be the right one. So in turn, whether it be with romance, relationship, career, I get overwhelmed because there are so many ways to go. How do I go about this process and give myself grace in it? Well, here's the first thing that I notice as I'm reading this. He fears that he might waste time. And the Bible says the thing you fear most will come upon you. And it doesn't mean that's a guarantee that will happen. But many times it is true. You have to be motivated by faith as opposed to fear. Fear will always short circuit you and make you stop and consider 8 different roads. Faith makes you determined to go down one road. So that fear has to turn around into faith. And I know what it's like to be afraid to do this, afraid to do that, but you have to recognize first that fear becomes the controller here. And as long as fear is controlling and dictating the decisions, you'll never be able to make any decision because you'll always be afraid it's the wrong one. And sometimes it's better to just make a decision and go with it. Even if it turns out to be the wrong decision, at least you'll know for sure that's the wrong path, and it'll help you decide which one the right one is. So for a guy like this, I would want to say, I would ask him, what mistake in your past are you afraid that you might make again? Think about that. What mistake has happened in the past that you're afraid that you might make again? Now, if you think about that, it can start to uncover what might be the pivotal point in your life where things went to the left or to the right. This sounds to me like a person who is multi-talented because they have a lot of choices. Anybody that's got a lot of choices, they're usually naturally talented people, and they can do a lot of things, and they can do a lot of things well. And they can do a lot of things well enough that people would say, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be doing that. Why don't you do this? And it's confusing because you want people's approval on what you're doing. You want confirmation, probably a better word to say. But because you're talented, you can get confirmation in a bunch of things. And then you're afraid to make a decision, and fear now takes over, and fear starts to tell you, do not move. Don't go anywhere. Well, fear guarantees that you're going to lose. It's a guarantee. Faith is a chance that you're going to win. Faith means you're going to go somewhere. So you have to make a decision which way you're going to go. So for this guy, what I would do, I would want to talk to him about what his, two things, what his gifts are and what his passions are. Because gifts and passions are two different things. Your gift, the Bible says, makes a way for you and brings you before great men. When the Bible says makes a way, that means it's an avenue for commerce. It's somewhere where you can make a living. It'll actually produce money for you. So your gift produces finance for you, which means your life can be channeled in that direction. Your passion doesn't necessarily make you any money. It could be like you have a passion for making railroad cars, you know, or you can have a passion for bird watching. You can have a passion for swimming. You can have a passion for hiking, but none of it makes you any money. It's just a passion. It's very real, but it's nowhere to take your life as far as a career. The thing that you make commerce at is going to be where you're going to find your gift. So I'd need to talk to him, and I would need to go through a series of things and find out where is your gift. And let's focus in on that gift. And let's focus in on how to enhance that gift so it becomes something other people want more. You already have it. It's already there. You're already programmed for it. It's not like you have to go create it. It's already there. It just needs other things to be pushed away so that it can get out the door. That's all. One more question. Okay. Oi, this is something I know something about. How do I reconcile with my sister after a difficult childhood? Oh man, now this is like an Italian thing. All right, hold on. Our dad died in a car accident when I was 10 and she was 17. Now my father died when I was older, but almost the same age difference in sisters. I have an older sister, 10 years older than me. This one is 17 years. And trust me, between 10 and 17, it's a lifetime apart. 17-year-olds don't hang out with 10-year-olds. You don't do stuff with them. You know, you don't have a lot of fun. They're off doing their own thing. Remember when you were 17, you want to hang out with your 10-year-old sister? Ain't gonna happen. Forget it. You're gonna do everything you can to avoid them. You'll babysit them, but then tell them to go up in a room and stay there. So I get this one. Okay, says she was very close to my father. Well, my sister was very close to my father too. Her world collapsed. Mine, as far as she could. Her world collapsed. Mine, as far as she could see, didn't. Okay, whatever it was, it's not good. Resulting in her taking her anger and bitterness out on me. Oh my God. Did I write this? Okay. Making life growing up pretty miserable. Hey. We are friends now. Well, good for you. We are friends now, but have never discussed the issue. Feel like it has been an elephant in the room. Whenever we have gotten together in the past, result is I have avoided family getting together for years, but would stop doing that to get past this. Look, oh man. This I understand a little bit about personally, and I'm trying not to get too personal, but whenever a father dies in a family, it has a tendency to scatter the family. The father is that linchpin. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but father passes away, and one or two of the kids just sort of go off the rails. They all of a sudden their personality completely alters, and the way they look at their siblings can change dramatically. When my father passed away, I had a whole different relationship with him than my brother did, than my sister did. and it affected them completely different than it affected me. So sometimes when a sibling doesn't see that you are as affected as they are in the same way, it might seem like you don't care. And it's just that you have a different personality, you have a different perspective on that. And that person needs to share that with somebody, but they're not finding it in you. They think they should find it in you. And that should create a problem. I would probably want ask this person, like, when would you like to see this goal happen? What type of time frame do you have? How much time do you give this? Because you kind of have to ask yourself this question too. And it's a hard question, but it's a real question. If you were reconciled to this person, is it going to be like it was? Are you going to reconcile to something? Because sometimes people's lives can change so much, and the person changes so much, and you are such a different person that even if you're reconciled, you still don't get along, because you're just such vastly different people. You're going through all of this reconciliation process and trying to rehook, and at the core of it, you really don't like each other. There's not the type of person you'd hang out with or talk with or go see a movie with or discuss things with. You might not have that with them at all. You might have totally different, moral standards. And you have to consider that too. So that reconciliation has to be from something you want to return to. If you don't have something you specifically want to return to, that's going to be hard to find a place of reconciliation. But here's what you can do. I was counseling somebody or life coaching somebody who was from China, and their brother lived in China. They were over here, and they were trying to make connection with their brother's family of divorce, that type of thing, and didn't know how to do it. And sometimes what you need to do is find out something that that person really likes. Find out something that that person does. And if you can find a way to compliment them on it, that's a really good first step. Like, most people have Facebook. Most people have something that they've done, or they have, even if it's just their child, and it's nothing that they specifically made with their hands, but this is a part of them. They have their character and their reflection in them. Maybe making a comment that's positive about their child, or you admire what they do, because you're gonna like the people who love the things you love. You're gonna be gravitated towards the people who gravitate towards them that have an affection towards the things you have an affection for, and so you have a shared experience. So find something that they love. Find something that they've done. In this case, these people, the brother and sister that were China in America, this guy was a landscaper, and he would post his pictures of his latest jobs online. So I said, just go in there and make comments under the landscape jobs. Say, oh, this is beautiful, this looks great, or I would have never thought of that, or where did you get this type of wood from, or what gave you the idea to have these branches hang down this way as opposed to that way. I mean, let them know that you're observing something that means something to them. And that should get you, some sort of a favorable response. Even if it's just a like. A like is more than what you had before. It's a step in the right direction. But like I say, you have to give it realistic expectations. What is it that you want out of this? If you want a total reconciliation to the way it was before, then we're going to have to talk through it, because there's a lot of different questions that I have to ask you, because I don't know enough about all the other stuff that separated you guys. So that is your the three questions for this Tuesday. Every Tuesday I'm going to be posting here and taking your questions that you put down and trying to find some life coach answers for them. But ultimately, here's the thing, is life coaching is about you and I getting on the phone together and talking. And I have to listen to what is in your heart. I have to hear where the different hurts are and the wounds are and the different things that are hindering you from moving forward. Because that's what's going to make all the difference, is finding out specifically custom to you how to resolve this issue. Because there might be some things that somebody could tell you to do, but it sounds good, but it just doesn't work for you. You know, there's lots of other issues, but for right now, this will be our first life coach seminar. If you want to be a part of the life coaching, me doing sessions with you, you can click on the link below, go to the site, read up a little bit more about it, and if you do decide to join at there's 3 different levels to join it, then we'll set up a time and appointment, and I would love to talk to you. I've been through a lot, I've come through a lot, and I feel like I have a lot to share, and hopefully this will be another way for the ministry to continue. So God bless you. This was the first life coach session. Be back next Tuesday. Bye-bye.